Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, I trust that you are doing well. Now welcome to another Q&A with me and our man. And in today's video we're going to be discussing nasheeds, background vocals, humming, beatboxing, all these things in this video, inshallah. So my brothers and sisters, this issue's been going around for a long time, so I thought I'd just address it with the brother today and inshallah clear any doubts that you lot may have. Now, without even longing it, we're going to go straight into it. But before we do, is there anything that you want to say, bro?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The only thing I would say from the beginning, akhi, is that, a lot of people, they kind of look at us sometimes like we're haram police and whatnot and so on and so forth. But the reality of the matter is, akhi, that, the Prophet ﷺ and his Sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'een, if they were to see some of the things that we see today, what do you think they would do? That they would just, you think they wouldn't say this is haram or try and stop you?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Umar radiallahu anh sometimes would take out a whip and lash the person on top of his head. I'm not saying we're gonna go do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that that's how seriously they took it.
Yeah.
So we have to give importance to what the Prophet gave importance to, number one. Number two, the other thing is, this comes from not us. Anything that we say is not from ourselves. It's from only the Quran and the Sunnah. I'm a slave just like you are, and I can't speak for myself. If you ask me a question, I'll do my best to answer it as per how the scholars who follow the Sahaba understood the Quran and the Sunnah.
No.
Do you see? So this is not coming from us.
Yeah,
So if you have an issue with what I say or what Stride says, you can't be upset at us. You can only really be upset at Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which the reality is that none of you are going to be upset with Allah and His Messenger. So it's best that you just take it.
Alhamdulillah. Alright, so basically, akhi, the first question is, are nasheeds permissible?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first question.
Okay, so are nasheeds permissible? Here's how the scholars explained it to us. Because remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you don't know, go ask the people who know. Right? And a scholar is someone who studied the religion for 40, 50, 60 years. It's not someone who studied for 5, 6, 10 years. You see, real bona fide scholars. Here's how they explained it. They said, look, the Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ تَشَبَّهَ بِقَوْمٍ فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. Anyone who imitates a particular group of people is from them. So if you imitate the disbelievers, now you're from them. If you imitate them. If you imitate the people of zina and filth and sin, you're from them. Same way, if you imitate the innovators, the people of bid'ah, the people who oppose the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, then you're from them as well. You see. So the question that we need to ask ourselves is, where did nasheeds originate from? Did it originate from the people of the sunnah? We find that nasheeds originated from the Sufiya, the Sufis. And we all know the spectrum of problems that the Sufis have. Okay, some of the Sufis, they fall into major shirk. In fact, many of them fall into major shirk. It's something that's known. And many problems that the Sufiya have. It suffices that we all know them, and we all know them to be a deviant sect. The Prophet ﷺ told us only one sect will make it to paradise. When he was asked by the Sahaba, Man hiya ya Rasulullah, who is the sect that will make it? What did the Prophet say? Ma ana alayhi wa ashabi. Ma ana alayhi wa ashabi. He said the sect that will be saved is the one that is upon what I'm upon and what the Sahaba upon. So what the Prophet is upon is called what? The Sunnah, right? So the Prophet said, pay attention, brothers and sisters. The one that is upon what the Prophet is upon the Sunnah. That's where Ahlul Sunnah comes from. You see? Now the Prophet said, not just upon what he's upon, but upon who else? The Sahaba.
For the Jama'ah.
So when you say, hey, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Jama'ah means group. The group that the Prophet is talking about is what? Is the Sahaba. And you know what's even more amazing is that there's actually another hadith about the 73 sects, when the Prophet was asked who is the saved one, and the Prophet at that time, you know what he said? Al-Jama'ah.
Subhanallah.
which is what? The Sahaba.
Sahaba.
So the group that will be saved is Ahlu Sunnati wal Jama'ah, the people who follow the Prophet Sunnah and the Sahaba. You see, not the Sufiya,
Yeah.
not the Shia,
Yeah.
not the Asha'ira, not any other group. Any other group that gives themselves a name, I said the Prophet already told us the name of the group. Ma'ana alayhi wa ashabi. The ones upon what the Prophet's upon and what his companions are upon. You're actually choosing a new name for yourself. That already shows me you're a deviant group. Let alone for me to go into it and find out what you believe. You worship the graves, you believe this, you believe that, you believe this. That's even more of a myth. So my question is that we know historically, you can check it out. Nasheeds started from the Sufiya. Okay, and the Prophet said, Man tashabbaha bi qawmin فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. Anyone who imitates the people is from them. So by singing Nasheeds, who are you imitating? The people who the Prophet said are from the 72 who enter the hellfire. So that's why the scholars said Nasheeds. One of the reasons why they said Nasheeds is not permissible. Another reason why some of the scholars said it's not permissible, and this is particularly at the men, is because singing is something that was feminine.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
Like for example, like wearing earrings is feminine.
Yeah.
And now a man wears earrings, but it's become so common for men to wear earrings that you don't see it as feminine anymore.
Yeah.
But wallahi, if back in the days you saw a man wearing an earring, you would think, my brother, what's going on? Do you see?
Yeah.
So the same way, singing, it was not for men. Men didn't do it, and if they did, it was something that only feminine men did.
Yeah.
That's why Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, he actually said, he said that singing and music, because it's feminine, and Nasheeds are singing, whether it's instruments or not, but because it's feminine, Ibn al-Qayyim said, music actually leads to homosexuality.
SubhanAllah.
Because when men start behaving like women, then that's when they start, I don't have to spell it out for you in black and white. Did it make sense, right? If you start behaving like a woman and you're a man, then you're going to lead towards becoming effeminate, and that's going to open the door for homosexuality for you. And the same way, when women start behaving like men,
yeah, it's going to open
wearing trousers and things, so same thing.
SubhanAllah. Alright. So bro, you speak about Nasheeds being impermissible, but what about the Sahaba? The Sahaba, did Nasheeds know? Okay,
So very good question. If the Sahaba did Nasheeds, we would have no problem, because what did we say? We are who? Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We're the people of the Sunnah and who follow the group known as the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. If the Sahaba did Nasheeds, we would have no problem. But the Sahaba didn't do Nasheeds, akhi. The Sahaba did Sha'r, which is poetry. You see? And poetry is very different to Nasheeds. Like Nasheeds is singing tunes, melodies. The Sha'r that the Arabs would do poetry on, that's something very, very, very different. Like it's poetry. Do you see what I'm saying? It follows a particular rhythmic pattern known as a bahar. There's about 16 or 17 of them called al-bihar. You see, this is something that was known to the Arabs. You see, and it was very different to what the Nasheeds is today. But also, look, when you're trying to make a comparison, you have, if you're trying to compare Nasheeds to the poetry of the Sahaba, then what you need to do is you need to make sure that the comparison is similar. But here you're trying to compare two things that don't have similarities. Like one of them is singing to an R&B kind of tune. You've got background vocals that sound like music. You know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. We can make a whole list. The comparisons, the two things are very different. And even then, the Prophet never did no poetry. Is there not a better example in him? The Prophet never did no poetry. But yeah, the poetry and the Nasheeds are two different things. No. You could do a poem that don't even rhyme. You could do a poem that's not even to a beat. Do you see? We all studied anthology in GCSEs. Do you see what I'm saying? A poem doesn't have to be all high tune, low tune. It's two different things.
Okay. So then, bro, it goes to the question, with these Nasheeds nowadays, they include beatboxing, backing tracks. For example, like I Am Khaled'S Nasheeds. A person was asking, is that permissible? So what do we say on this issue?
So me personally, I wouldn't have mentioned the brother's name, but since you're saying the person asked and you've asked me, I have no other choice but to respond, because the Prophet said, the one who was asked the question, and he knew the answer, he refused to respond on the Day of Judgment, Allah will hold his mouth with a rain of fire. Like, you know, the thing that you hold around the horse's mouth?
Yeah.
That will be around the person's mouth, and it will be made out of fire. The reason for it is because he refused to open his mouth in this world when he could have benefited someone. So Allah will refuse to open his mouth in the next life with a rope of fire. So I have to answer it. So purely because I've been asked now. So we've already established that nasheeds are not permissible. Now you're asking something separate. Background tunes or background tracks, backing tracks, permissible if only vocals are used. And is beatboxing, which is a bit different, is that permissible because, you know, you're basically making a beat with your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about alcohol for a second. Alcohol originally, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it was made out of what? It's made out of dates,
yeah.
Right? And the Prophet ﷺ told us the reason why alcohol is impermissible is why? Because it gets you drunk. It's an intoxicant. Now, many years later, people invented a new type of alcohol, and they made it from what? From grapes. They called it nabith. They gave it a new name. They said this is not what the Prophet made haram. It's a new thing. It's a different drink.
Mm-hmm.
But we will say to you, akhi, it's still haram. Why? Because they both do the same thing.
Have the same effect.
They have the same effect.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you bring alcohol now that doesn't get you drunk, it doesn't intoxicate you, it's not a muskir, as they say in Arabic language, then no problem. You see? So that's what Ibn al-Qayyim said. If two things are similar, they take the same ruling.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, if I take, for example, you mentioned the brother I am Khaled, and it's not just him, there's many others, the likes of Mahar Zain and many others. But if you take some of their background, I mean, Mahar Zain actually used music, so that's a bad example. Yeah. But other people who use backing instruments made from voice.
Yeah, Harris J.
Say that again?
Harris J.
Harris J actually uses music though.
Oh,
so he music is impermissible.
Yeah.
We already made the video, the JD one. Like, if you link it here, it'll be nice for the people so they can check. But that's already haram. But I'm saying people who use backing tracks, like our brother I am Khaled, may Allah guide him and us all to the straight path, because we're all brothers in Islam. But that doesn't mean we don't point out, correct each other. That's also love. But if he was to play one of his tracks in a club, what would happen?
Get the same effect from the people. You'd get the same effect from the people as you would.
Yeah. Like if I'm DJ now and I'm playing Drake.
Yeah.
So everyone's shacking it out in the middle. They're bumping and grinding. Yeah. If I now turn off Drake and I play the brother's track, are people gonna stop bumping and grinding?
Nah.
They're gonna bump and grind the same way.
Yeah.
It makes you bop the exact same way. It makes you move your head to the beat the exact same way. It has the same effect.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like the same way a person can put on a track of Luther Vandross or something and go do zina with a girl. He could do the exact same with one of these nasheed tracks. They had these backing tracks. Do you see? Because it sounds exactly the same. So the same goes for beatboxing and the same goes for these backing instrumentals. Sometimes, wallahi akhi, you cannot tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference. Sometimes I'm sitting there, I'm listening, I'm like, brother, is this even his voice? Like, I'm actually like, is this even voice? It sounds so similar. Is this even voice? Do you see what I'm saying? But I'm saying it sounds exactly the same. It has the same effect as the music. So it has to be haram. Because otherwise I could say the same thing to you. I could say, look bro, I know that the nabith, the alcohol made from grapes, has the same effect as the alcohol made from dates, but it's made from grapes. But the effect is what? The same. So one is made from a drum and a piano, and one's made from your mouth, but the effect is the same. For that reason, it's also not permissible. Also, like I said, it still falls under imitating women. So it's permissible from that angle, and it also falls under the angle of man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum. Anyone who imitates the people is from them. So you're beatboxing, you're imitating who? Kuffar. Specifically hip hop artists. Hip hop beats. You're taking a hip hop beat and you're imitating it.
Even beatboxing is known amongst the kuffar. Let's forget about music and the beats. Even beatboxing itself is known amongst what the kuffar do.
Exactly.
So that in itself is imitating the kuffar. Exactly.
And what takes it a step further is a lot of these nasheed artists, our brothers, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them and us all to the straight path. I mean, this imitating a kuffar issue is haram from many angles, akhi. Like they'll take a track from a famous track that's out there, like J-Dean does it. He'll take a track by Fetty Wap or something, and he'll take his beat. These brothers won't take the beat.
They'll take the tune.
but they'll take the rhythm and the pattern of the beat and they'll imitate it with their mouth, and then they'll say, like, I don't know, Fetty Wap remix or something, or halal version. A'udhu billah. How you make halal something Allah made haram? Do you see what I'm saying? How can you take a track from an R&B artist or a singer or whatever and just imitate their tune?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So it's a problem, man. It's a problem. It's even haram from that angle because you're imitating disbelievers. And my question is, and I'm like just thinking, is that not also encouraging people to check out these kuffar? Does it not also mean that I'm saying, in order for you to have, imitated this tune,
you had to have heard it.
You have to have heard it. And I know a lot of the brothers, they say we don't listen to music, and I believe they don't, because I've spoken to many of them and they don't. But you had to have listened somewhere.
So similar or something.
Say again?
If it's sounding so similar, there's no way that you could have not listened to it to pick up the tuning.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because even if people are realizing from first hand that, you know what, this sounds actually like this.
Yeah.
Like they only know it sounds like this because they've listened to the other.
Exactly.
In the tunes, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, you know, one might argue, oh, I just heard it while I was in a barber shop, I didn't intend to. Maybe that's true.
Yeah.
But the impression that you're giving to all your fans is that, you know what, the average person will assume, oh, this guy's listened to it.
Yeah.
And it also sends the idea that it's permissible to listen to these things.
Yeah.
Like from every angle, bruv, it's a myth.
Subhanallah. So just to sum up what the brother said there, it's not because it's not using a musical instrument or it's the voice, it's the same effect that it's giving. So we take it from them and also imitating the kuffar and whatnot. So yeah, alright bro, so the next bit is what's the ruling on using the duff, the sort of drum thing? Like what's the ruling on that? Because people say, oh, it was used back in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, so people use it in their nasheeds now. Like, is that permissible?
So like I'm saying, you can't say can you use duff in your nasheeds, because we already established nasheeds are not permissible. So you could say I'm going to use Quran in my nasheeds, but it's not permissible because nasheeds not permissible. You could say I'm going to mention hadith in my nasheeds. I don't care, brother, because nasheeds not permissible. Do you see? But the issue of duff, let's explore that. So again, duff is something that was only made permissible for the women. And it wasn't made permissible for them all the time. It was only made permissible in a specific certain environment. For example, a wedding. You see? So women, you can't put out the duff like it's happy days. You know what I'm saying? You could do it at a wedding, no problem. But even then, only women can. And again, it shows you, you know, for men to be using the duff, again, it's that feminine. It's walking towards that, you know. And wallahi, there is I can't remember the hadith fully, but the Prophet said the one who imitates the opposite gender
is cursed.
Is it cursed? It's because from what I remember, it's either cursed, Allah's curse is on him, or Allah won't look at them. One of the two.
It's one of the two. I think the hadith is narrated differently. There's two different narrations on it.
We'd have to double check that. But either way, if Allah promises a punishment or His curse or that He will not look at you, it shows it's a major sin.
Subhanallah. Alright, so bro, then we move on to, we've already talked about imitating the tunes of the kuffar, it's not allowed and whatnot. But then, what if someone comes and says, okay, but this sheikh said it's okay, and this scholar said it's okay, or this knowledgeable person said it's okay? What do we do then? Because he's a knowledgeable person, he said it's okay, like, it must be okay now.
Yeah, someone might argue because like a lot of these nasheed artists are invited to conferences where people speak and whatnot, and this sheikh's there. And obviously the sheikh must think, if he's there, he's allowing it to happen. And obviously these nasheed artists, they come and say, but my sheikh said this is allowed, and my sheikh said that, and Sheikh Fulan said this and that. Like. So my first question would be, how do you know this person's a sheikh? Like a sheikh is a title that's given to everyone nowadays, but that's a different discussion. Okay, my concern is, what did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? Like when we have clear-cut evidence from the Prophet, anyone who imitates the people from them, you know, singing and whatnot was only allowed. It was only a thing that women did. Yeah, it was. They used to bring singing girls down to like sing for the people. Singing was something was only done by women.
Yeah.
The duff was only made permissible for the women on specific times and occasions. Like, I'm saying, what do you want me to do? The Prophet said this.
Yeah.
So for you to say, when I say to you, the Prophet said, but you say, but my Sheikh said, I have a story that I want to share with the people so they can kind of, get a bit of an understanding. We all know the status of Abu Bakr and Umar radiyallahu anhuma, the two greatest men who walked the face of this earth in this ummah after the Prophet ﷺ. Now after they died, some group of people came to a Sahabi whose name was Abdullah ibn Abbas, and he came to ask him a question about Hajj. Okay, I won't go into the details of it, but it was a question about Hajj, a particular type and way of doing Hajj. He said, is it permissible to do Hajj like this? And Ibn Abbas said, the Prophet ﷺ, we saw him, he allowed us to do Hajj like this, he taught Hajj like this. You can do it. The people looked at him and they said, you're saying the Prophet said to do it, but Abu Bakr and Umar said, no, you cannot do Hajj like this. Do you know what Abdullah ibn Abbas did?
What?
He took a step back. He said, I just said to you, Allah and His Messenger said, you can do it. And you're telling me, Abu Bakr and Umar said you can't? Look at the status Abu Bakr and Umar hold in our eyes. Look at the status they hold. But this is not from me, it's the Sahabi saying. He's saying, you're telling me Abu Bakr and Umar said, and I told you Allah and His Messenger said. He said, this is such a evil thing that you said, that for me, I fear that stones, Allah's going to release the sky to send down stones and destroy you all right now. Now I said, Allah and His Messenger said, and you tell me Abu Bakr and Umar? So I'm saying, if Sahaba did not allow someone to say Abu Bakr and Umar radiyallahu anhuma said when we mentioned the Prophet, then how can we take your Shaykh or any Shaykh?
Come and just say it's now halal when the Prophet and Allah.
Exactly. So remember, the statement of a scholar is not a proof. It requires proof. If a Shaykh says this haram, it's halal, his statement in itself cannot be used. Oh, the Shaykh said it, so it's haram or it's halal. No. The Shaykh needs evidence to qualify his statement. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, so then we move on to now the women. You're mentioning a lot that the women are the ones who are doing the singing and the deaths and the whatnot. So are women allowed to do it? Just like quickly, because some sisters might say, okay, now I'm allowed to go and make a song or make a poetry or whatnot, like make a nasheed. Like, what are you gonna say on that?
So, like we already said, yes, women can play the duff on weddings.
Yeah.
But no, we already established nasheeds are haram.
Yeah.
You can't do nasheeds. Because nasheeds came from who?
The Sufis.
They came from the Sufis. Do you see what I'm saying? And even the singing girls who used to come and sing for the people with music, Allah sent down ayat, Surah Luqman, ayah number 6, when Allah talks about it being lahul hadith, filthy speech, upon which the Sahaba like Ibn Mas'ud said, Wallahi, this is about singing and music. That ayah came down, Allah was saying these people are going to have a painful punishment because they were singing. They were singing. You see what I'm saying? So no, you can't go out there and make nasheeds. You can't go out there and make songs and put yourself out there. No, you can't do that.
Okay, alright, so then bro, now not only do these people just do nasheeds, but majority, if not all, have music videos to the nasheeds. And they name it a music video or nasheed video or this, that and the other. What's the ruling on that? Because I'm pretty sure even a music video itself is something that the Kuffar do. The Kuffar are known to do this. So it falls under imitating the Kuffar.
Yeah, I find it amazing how you can say I'm doing a nasheed, but you call your video a music video. That's proof that what you're doing is music. And then nasheed is just the what. Look, understand something, brothers and sisters, yeah? Just because you change the name of something to sound halal doesn't mean that the ruling also changes and it becomes halal. I'll give you an example, yeah? Nowadays, like zina, when you translate zina, what is it? Fornication.
Fornication, yeah.
But what do people call it now? Say, bro, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I slept with her.
Yeah.
No, bro, you fornicated with her.
Yeah.
Or they say, bro, I'm making love. No, bro, you're fornicating. Just because you change the name doesn't mean the reality of what it is changed. It's zina, bro. It's fornication. The same way, what do people say now about drugs? What do they call it?
Food.
They call it food.
Yeah.
But I'm selling food, I'm shutting food. It sounds nice.
Yeah.
But is the reality of where it is different?
No.
It's the same. What do they call, for example, a riba? Interest. Originally in the country, you know what it was called? It was called usury.
Usually, yeah.
Usury, because I'm using you. I'm taking your money. I'm sucking your blood. Yeah? Now what do they call it? Interest.
Interest.
Because interest, that's, it's for your interest.
Yeah.
Like homosexuality. It used to be called what? It used to be called sodomy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Now it's gay.
Now it's a gay.
Yeah.
Because gay means happy. Just because you change the name or something don't make it permissible. So you can't say Nasheed.
Didn't the Prophet ﷺ also say that there will come a time when people make music halal, khamr halal,
Exactly.
and call it by different names as well.
Rather, the Prophet said that a time will come when people call things by other than their real name.
Yeah.
Do you see? So we're seeing this today, akhi. So just because you can't say Nasheed music video, like make it sound nice.
Yeah.
You can't say halal hip hop. What do you mean halal hip hop? You mean halal hip hop? Nah, akhi. Nah.
Okay. Alright, so then, akhi, one thing that a lot of people try and justify it with is, but people are coming to Islam. It's having a good effect on people. People are praying more. People are becoming more united. It's a good form of dawah. Like, how can you say it's a bad thing? Because good is coming out of it. So what do we say to these people?
I say to these people, it kind of reminds me of the Christians, because the Christians did that. They, in order to bring people into the church, they started doing things that was against their religion, and they said the ends justify the means. I remember we used to give da'wah on Hounslow High Street, and then the Christian the born again Christians used to come out. So one time they had the music playing bare loud. I wasn't there this day, but the brothers who were on the da'wah table, they told me, it's a funny story. They said they brought these girls out that were dressed pink. Yeah, they brought these Christian girls that they were just peak. Music was playing and they were just like shacking out. And they were singing and they were saying, shake it for the Lord. Yeah, we shake it for the Lord, shake it for the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that's what they were coming with, yeah? So the brother looked at them and said, would Jesus be happy with this? Would Jesus be happy with women coming out saying, we shake it for the Lord? Like, they're saying you're whining for the Lord, you're dirty whining for the Lord. A'udhu billah. But they'll say, yo bro, it brings the kids in. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Right? So the ends don't always justify the means. The thing is, you and I don't know better than Allah and His Messenger ﷺ. If Allah made something haram for us, that means that there is that at the end of the day, it's not good.
Yeah.
How can you say there is benefit or khair in something that is haram? That is something Allah made haram.
Yeah.
Do you see? It reminds me of the issue of alcohol. Like Allah said in the Quran. Do you guys know Allah said that there is good in it? There is some benefit in it. There is benefit in alcohol. But the evil, the harm in it is worse. Do you see? So like you could say, alcohol helps with this, alcohol helps with this. Apparently some stories out there that about medical benefits of alcohol. I'm like, yo, amazing. I know, Allah already told us. But Allah said it's evil is worse. It might help some people, but it causes the NHS to spend $8 billion a year because people can't control the liquor. And they end up getting drunk, medical, go NHS, or end up getting into fights, people go to jail. It's all a myth. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying the same way, look at these nasheeds. You're saying 1 or 2 people might start praying, but then girls start coming onto videos and they start shacking it out and this, that, and music, and you start having concerts and raves where boys and girls are free mixing, and we can go on, there's a list. Things are bad. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying there might not be a benefit in it. There might be a benefit in it. There might be a benefit in it. But the evil is greater. Yeah. And the reason why it was greater, because Allah knows better than me and you. If He made something halal, He made it halal. If He made it haram, He made it haram for a reason.
Yeah.
Not only that, you can't say this is da'wah. Da'wah has to be done how the Prophet did it. In Surah Yusuf, the Prophet clearly said, this is my path. Da'wah is according to Allah, my path. Meaning, if you want to do da'wah, you want to call to Allah, you got to do it how the Prophet did it. Yeah. He said, I call to it and my Sahaba, those who follow me. Yeah. Those who follow me, who are the Sahaba. So again, if you want to do da'wah, you got to do it how the Prophet and Sahaba radiyallahu anhum ajma'in did it. If you don't, then bro, this is not da'wah. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because then the Christian can say, shake it for the Lord, that's da'wah. No, but we say, no, if you don't do what the Prophet did, it's not da'wah. And then I asked you again, I said, how on earth do you have the audacity to say that this can benefit people? Because the Prophet ﷺ had the opportunity of doing this, but he didn't.
He didn't.
Like, you're talking about kids are bad and they need Islamic alternatives and you need to relate to them. I'm saying, are they bad? Worse than the people back in the Prophet's days? Forget, nowadays we complain about women walking half streets and they're naked. Back in the Prophet's days, women used to walk full naked in the masjid.
SubhanAllah.
You know the Kaaba, the masjid, the house of Allah, Baytullah. The people used to go around the Kaaba naked, fully. I'm saying at least she's gonna wear a tank top or something when she comes out. They used to go fully naked. At night they used to drink alcohol outside the Kaaba. You have a rave where? In a club.
Yeah.
They used to have a rave out in the masjid, bro. They're having a rave in the masjid. That's how bad they were. So does it not make sense the Prophet could have said, oh, let's do some nasheeds, let's do some singing, bring No, the Prophet, that's not the way. Replace the people's hearts with Quran.
Yeah.
Akhi, Imam Malik said it. He said, you will not find success in anything that the ones who came before you, i.e. the Prophet and the Sahaba, didn't find success in.
Sir.
If they didn't find success in it, you will never find success in it.
Yeah.
Because they were the most successful.
Most successful, exactly, yeah.
Akhi, Allah gave them the world from the footsteps of China in the east to the shores of Spain in the west. Allah placed the world at their knees. Allah gave them Rome. Allah gave them Persia. Allah gave them everything. That's the equivalent of America and Russia and China will come into your knees. Allah gave them everything.
SubhanAllah.
Akhi, you will not. It's like the poet said, you want to get to the destination fast.
Yeah.
But you can't take the ship on land.
Yeah.
The ship, it wants to go from point A to point B.
Yeah.
It will make it easier for the ship to just go through land. But the ship don't travel on land.
Yeah, SubhanAllah.
You see? So you can't take a shortcut. That da'wah doesn't travel through haram.
Yeah.
Do you see? Allah knows best.
Yeah, so brothers and sisters, I just wanted to say as well, for you to say that it's a form of da'wah, like the brother said, and I think he didn't emphasize too much on it, but it's like you saying that you know better than the Prophet ﷺ, and you know better than the Sahaba, because they didn't do it, but you're coming and saying, no, I can do it, because it's a good way of doing it. But if they didn't do it, then surely there was no benefit in it, because they would have done only what there was benefit in. So yeah, that's just a point to take in. And also I just wanted to conclude by saying, my brothers and sisters, that a lot of the nasheeds that people listen to, a lot of the sisters are listening to the nasheeds, and not only are they doing tasbih in the comments saying subhanallah, mashallah, Allahu Akbar and whatnot, to something that's haram, they're also getting a very, very inclined towards these things, and it's changing the way that they think, the way that they act. And just recently I put a post up by Ustad Abu Taymiyyah about how Ustad was telling us, subhanallah, the women, if you want to corrupt a nation, you corrupt the women first. So what's happening now? These nasheeds, these so-called hip-hop nasheeds, these halal nasheeds are going to the ears of our sisters, and subhanallah, making our sisters think in a certain way, feel in a certain way, coming far away from the remembrance of Allah and the Quran. And subhanallah, slowly and slowly it's starting to destroy our sisters' minds. And then we just got to think about what's going to happen in the future when you're raising your kids and you're teaching them this, or this nasheed is halal and this is halal, and look at the way that they're going to grow up. Because we know that the learning and the sort of nurturing comes from the mothers and the wives and the sisters and the women who are going to nurture the children to become better people, and most of the things that the children will learn, they will learn from their mothers. So if right now the mothers of tomorrow are doing this, imagine what's going to happen in the future. Subhanallah. So we just got to think of it like that as well. And is there anything else you want to add, bro?
Yeah, I just want to mention, like I said, yeah, like the brother Stride sitting next to me, he used to be a rapper. And when he started, on Instagram, he didn't start doing da'wah, he was starting to do like comedy sketches and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. When he realized that what he's doing, it's not good, and maybe it's not the best that he could be, alhamdulillah, and I don't praise anyone before Allah, because Allah knows, but he took a path when he left that and he came to the da'wah. And I find it amazing, because usually people start off saying we're doing this for da'wah, and then they end up doing dodgy stuff. But the brother didn't even start off doing da'wah. He started off doing the dodgy stuff, but then he became to the da'wah. And myself, also, in Jahiliyyah, I used to be in the music industry. I know the music industry very well. I used to make money off it. I used to make very good money off it. And the reason I'm only mentioning this too is because we've been there, we've done that, got the t-shirt, we researched the matter quite a lot. Do you see? And I find people who research the matter, they always end up saying, you know, it's haram. But the ones who ignore their real research and they try to follow their desires are the ones who never get there. Many times I spoke to the brother JD, as I mentioned in my other video, which you can watch here if you can link it, yeah? That I have the discussion with JD about music all the time, and he always says to me, Akhi, I need to do my research. He still hasn't done no research. Do you see? So how are you trying to do something and say it's halal when you ain't even done the research? So I'm saying this is coming from a place of experience, of having done this, you know, realizing our mistakes. And we're only speaking because we love you. And so you can also, you know, appreciate the reality for what it is. So that's what I'm saying. Don't think of it as we're just sitting there, we don't understand what the youth go through. No, we went through this. We've been through this.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had to make the same difficult decision that we're asking you to make, which is to leave the stuff behind.
Yeah. And just to conclude, a lot of people might come and say, oh, but you could have advised some brothers that you mentioned here privately, you could have talked to them. And as the brother said, the brother was in contact with JD, and I've been in contact with Khaled and the likes, and we've been talking to them for a long time, and we've even got permission from these brothers to come out and speak on behalf of what's good. And if what they're doing, because they don't believe what they're doing is incorrect, but if we believe what they're doing is incorrect, they've given us permission to come out and speak against it. So that's just for everyone that's gonna come in the comments and say,
if I could just mention, if you do something in public, I don't have to advise you in private.
Yeah, exactly.
I advise you in public
because you've done this in public.
You've done this in public.
Exactly.
You see, but if you did this in like many times, you know, a lot of people that we had like these social media wars with.
Yeah.
You know how many people actually, like, you know, people like we got private stuff on them.
Yeah.
And I always message them privately, say, Wallah, akhi, me and you've been going at it online. Me and you have been going at it online. I'm trying to advise you, but this look at this that came to me.
Yeah.
And maybe a sister you were talking to and you said some inappropriate dirty thing, and I'll send it privately, and I'll say, if you did this in public, Wallah, I would have blasted you in public. Because you did it privately, I'm hiding your sin for you, and I'm advising you, please don't do this.
Yeah.
As for the public thing, I'm gonna carry on doing that. So we have to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
So even then. And I didn't have to ask no permission, but I went to JD and I told him, I'm gonna make this video. Are you okay with it? And I didn't have to, but I'm saying even then we were like fully gone through all the sense and means.
Yeah. Alright, so brothers and sisters, we hope you did benefit from that video. Anyone that you know that probably could benefit from this video, make sure you share it. Make sure you get it through all to the group chats and your Instagrams and your social medias. Comment any other sort of videos that you would like to see in this series, and yeah, until the next time, it's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace.